high protein. So we put melamine in millions of people's milk, and, they're going to die young because of it or die right now, but that's just what we do. And, by the way, we make your drugs, so eat up America.
Well, and then the next phase is they're doing a lot of testing, is multiple vaccines at once. And it's under the guise of basically, it would be one-stop shopping. Why do these people have to do redundant services? So we'll give them this, this, and this. Well, it's really getting kind of scary because they're putting the measles vaccine with the with all these other different vaccines and giving these poor people guinea pigging them with 3 vaccines at the same time that are completely different.
And experimental. Well, let's come back and get into the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation with our insider. We haven't said anything yet.
A crowd of people stood and stared. They'd seen his face before. Nobody was really
Cynthia, inside whistleblower from Big Pharma testing. We've really been covering that the last 45 minutes or so. She's going to stay with us 30 minutes to the next hour. Then open phones and tons of financial news and analysis for the balance of the broadcast. And there's a lot we're not telling you, a lot we're not saying, because she had confidentiality agreements. I've seen a lot more than I can say here on air. Now, if something's illegal or unethical, she's not bound by that. But still, she left because she didn't want to be part of the things she witnessed going on there. And we talked about a lot off air that hasn't been discussed here. Cynthia, I want to get back into the things they're doing and the larger operation and just how big it is and how secretive. But let's get into the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. His father's the former head of Planned Parenthood, currently on the board. He has said he, believes in the eugenical ideas Bill Gates has. Warren Buffett's big into it. He's given 40-something billion. They've given $39 billion. We're talking about an $80+ billion war chest that is so secretive. I think he gave $47 million. They've given $39 billion. Last time I checked, we covered it in the end game. And just ravages happen after the UN, the World Health Organization, World Bank are in there doing things. Most of the Africans now run when they see the clinic trucks. In Thailand, people are given injections by UN programs, and the women have miscarriages. They hold them down. I mean, the police are locally paid to do it. So there's this huge program going on. She's covering what she can tell you and what she knows about. And, they started up the foundation with PR stuff about let's stop the Tootsie Fly, the sleeping death, let's give them mosquito nets. All sounds great to get the trust. But she talked about a bigger director above her, which I don't want to get into too much detail, but she said, I don't feel like I'm a doctor anymore and don't like what I'm doing, but wouldn't go further. I mean, there's some really weird stuff going on. She got into the foundation thinking this will be more moral than Big Pharma, and kind of found out it was really Big Pharma with just a foundation front and really a giant testing arm for human guinea pigs. That's the main moral. But let's get into and we're about to break a minute, such a short segment, but start getting into the structure and the secrecy.
Well, the secrecy first struck me when I was approached by a friend because they needed help with this administrative thing because they were expanding very rapidly. And I said, oh, okay, well, I'll meet you there and we'll go to lunch. And she wouldn't even tell me where the foundation was located in Seattle. I started laughing. I said, oh, yeah, because most places have like a security guard at a desk and you get a little badge to go through, or you know what I mean. And she's like, no, I can't tell you where I'm located at all. And she was absolutely serious. She never told me where her office was. I mean, I eventually found out where it was, but that's the kind of level of secrecy. And, I'm not quite sure why. I mean, obviously, people could come off the street and protest or come in and constantly look for grants from them or something like that. They'd be inundated with people coming through their front door, but that's almost bizarre secret, for me. Even just being in pharmaceutical companies, they have a guard at a desk and, can buzz you in and things, but they won't even tell you where they're located. And a friend of mine is in a biotech company in downtown Seattle, and they're building a big compound, and normally how they have... Stay there.
Got a break for 1 minute, Cynthia. We'll be right back to everybody in, 70 seconds. Talking to Big Pharma whistleblower, also a whistleblower on things she witnessed in the Bill and Melinda Gates $80+ billion secretive foundation that's funding and financing basically human guinea pig trials all over the world. From how she described it, basically a foundation front And it's also tax-free for them. They're basically spending like Ted Turner did. Has actually made money by going tax-free with his money. Now, about 9 years ago to the UN, their money is now tax-free, and they use the principal on it to finance and fund what they're doing. So basically, you have Microsoft Fortune moving into biotech, but she was describing the secrecy, the makeup of it, secret facilities, secret meetings, and that never bodes well. That's always a red flag. Please continue.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to identify who they are. And a friend of mine who's works in a biotech company in downtown Seattle, and you know what company it is because it's got huge letters all over it. There's some sort of compound going in down there, but normally how if a building's going up, it's like soon to be Best Buys or something. There's nothing on this saying what it is or what it's about or anything. So it's almost like a red flag. Well, it's probably one of the Gates, Foundation compounds or whatever. So they have buildings sort of everywhere, but they're so nondescript, you wouldn't know who or what they were. You could think they were an insurance firm or something. There's just absolutely no identifying markers anywhere. Or, if you go to the Microsoft campus, there's huge Microsoft letters, it's Microsoft and stuff. But this is almost like, a CIA building or something like that where they're not going to say what it is. They just don't say what it is. I mean, it's totally nondescript and uber secure. And people who work in these buildings won't even tell you where they work. In different departments, they won't say where they're located. So that to me was just totally odd, But the one thing I wanted to say about the Gates Foundation, too, is, like with the HPV vaccine and, being a woman, I don't want cervical cancer and I don't want other women to get it. But they are really uber pimping for, Merck and GlaxoSmithKline for their vaccines. I mean, it's pretty much a nonprofit front to get these vaccines in terms of money. I mean, that's multi-millions of dollars for these big pharmas if they can get these programs in, too. It's not just, besides, whatever eugenics policy they may have, this is a really good money-making thing, and they can get, all sorts of World Bank funds and other different organizations to
let's be clear. The Gates Foundation isn't just giving money out. They're going out and getting IMF and World Bank money.
Yeah, I mean, through these different organizations, they bring in, we can kind of talk about
You want to get into the front group name they use?
One of the groups they use is PATH. And, and they also use different, like John Hopkins and things like that. But one of their main groups is called PATH, which is a very altruistic, nice organization. But at the same time, they're just another front way of kind of getting into where they want to.
But if they're so altruistic, why does it have to be so secret?
I know, and, when you look at all the problems that happen to these people in third world countries with diseases and,
and people who've never been sexually active. They've done the medical studies. BBC have HIV, and they've never been sexually active.
Yeah, and it's pretty amazing that they focus in on cervical cancer with all these vaccines, because, cervical cancer is bad, but it's very treatable, and you would think a prevention program would be more cost-effective.
Stay there. Let's keep breaking it down on the other side. We've got about 20 minutes left with our guest, Cynthia, a whistleblower from inside the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation at very high level. I told her coming on they'd probably figure out who she is, and she's, I guess, ready for that. So trying to protect her anonymity. She left there recently because she just couldn't be part of it anymore. There's a lot we can't get into on air, but, you've heard most of the basics of it. And I just wanted proof that she worked there. She sent me more than that. And again, pretty much everything I saw, I went and checked out and is available, different government reports. So it's not like super secret stuff. It's that it's all compartmentalized and broken up. And she was at a key level to be able to give you a big picture. Continue along the line you were on, and then other areas we haven't covered. Let's cram it all in, and then give us your big overview about what's happening.
Okay. I kind of look at this interview as kind of like giving everybody kind of a 101 on pharma and the foundations and things like that, and what's going on with vaccinations. But I think what I'd like to kind of cover is how these basically, the Gates Foundation is everywhere. I mean, everywhere. The Caribbean, you name it.
They've got the earth carved up. You described it as military. Tell
folks. It's like regions, and they go this region, that region, this region, and then they, and there's a pattern to this. They have a conference, which is pretty much a legitimate, conference, say, on cervical cancer. But if you look at all the underwriters, and if you go to like the Rockefeller Foundation, it's all those organizations that you've mentioned before that underwrite it, and Big Pharma underwrites it, and then they fly in these little, health ministers and